I'm about to adopt an 8-month-old rescue dog. I'd like to know more about holistic pet care, detoxing them.
I believe that a lot of the interventions for pets at the highest level are maybe intentionally meant to make them sick and create a lifetime customer.
How can you move beyond the fear of dying and embracing death as another curious experience of life?
All fears are ultimately leading to a fear of death. The more I can face, acknowledge, and welcome the moment I leave my body, the less scary it is. So I just thought of a great way to start this episode, and it won't be as climactic as I would have hoped, but that's because of the spontaneity of it. But a couple days ago, everyone listening and watching celebrated 10 years of the Life Stylist podcast.
Woo! Insert loud applause.
Yeah, the first episode was published June 6, 2016. And I realized that a couple days ago when we were in Indiana, and it was there was no way to celebrate it, at that particular time. But I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank everyone who's been listening. A few people, from what I understand, have been listening the whole time, which is astonishing to me because sometimes I don't even know how I'm still doing this.
Yeah, there are some people who've claimed to have listened to every single episode. So they're going on almost 700?
Well, today's episode, I'm glad you mentioned that, is episode 674. Okay. So the show notes for everything we talk about today that's clickable or researchable will be at lukestore.com/674.
Well, congratulations, honey. That it really is a powerful milestone, especially in, I guess in any entrepreneurship realm or category, to be going at something for a decade, no matter what the lane is commendable. But I think especially in the media space and the podcast space, especially over the years, as the space has gotten so saturated, or some might say overly saturated, to keep holding the line and going strong is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such a gift for me in so many ways. I feel like at times, I don't know if cheated is the right word. I guess it's just fortunate. I feel like the conversations I have and the people with whom I have them, I would pay to be able to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I first started, I remember there were a few people, in the beginning, I was new, so I was less confident, and I didn't really, have a reputation in the wellness industry at that point. And so I remember, some of those early conversations, sitting there for 90 minutes, 2 hours with someone that I really respected and thinking, I would have just paid them $500, to sit and have this conversation. And I'm sitting here doing it for free. Well, I was paying to do it for the first year because the podcast didn't make money. So I had to pay for all the production myself. Thankfully, I had another business going at that time, so I could fund this one, for the first few months or year until it got going. But yeah, it's wild. I think that I'm someone who doesn't like a lot of change. It's interesting. I mean, you know me, I'm very spontaneous and I live in the moment, but I don't like moving houses. I don't like changing jobs or careers. Like once I get in something, I just kind of do it until the wheels fall off. I mean, I worked in the fashion industry for 15 years and I don't know that I even liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were aspects of the creativity I liked, but the industry itself and
Right.
kind of the culture of it wasn't such a fit for me.
That's funny.
But yeah, sometimes with this, I go, what do I do this for 15 years, 20 years? I don't know. I don't know how long I will do it. I guess I do it until the conversations are no longer inspiring and, interesting to me. But there's just billions of people out there that I would probably love to talk to. So here we are. So thank you, those of you watching and listening. I really appreciate that, people come and spend time with me and the guests here on the podcast.
Yeah. Well,
because if no one was listening, then I wouldn't be able to keep doing it.
that is correct.
Well, I'd maybe be able to do it. I don't know how I'd pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, since we got home at 2 in the morning from traveling, and I don't know how you're feeling. I actually feel really good. I don't know how long that'll last, but
Yeah, you're so perky today. You're little Miss Perksters.
and we will get into it. I'm not going to go on some long tangent, but I thankfully am noticing my effervescence for life coming back. Praise the good Lord.
Yeah, I sense that too.
Yeah, I've in general, for the majority of my life, I've always had a natural enthusiasm and a natural joy. In fact, when I was younger, I would say that there were definitely some people that tried to like shame me for that or be like drinking the haterade on that. Like I remember I would get comments here and there of like, damn, like what are you on? I'll have whatever she's having. Or, like they would, when I would just enter a room and just be excited to be there and excited about life and just have that effervescence bubbling. Yeah, I think some people, whatever.
You know what I call those people?
What?
Crabs in the bucket.
Yeah, exactly. There were some crabs in the bucket along the way. Others who really appreciate that about me. But yeah, for various reasons, over the last, I don't know how many years, just I think my system, whether it's mind, body, spirit, soul, emotionally, was trying to tend to or get back into harmony, that I noticed those effervescent bubbles had dwindled a bit, but I can feel them lifting and circulating and coming back online again.
I
So
love it. Your soda was going a little flat.
yeah, the soda, the syrup, like it had gone. Yeah, the syrup had gotten unflavorful.
I mean, the last few years have been a journey. I mean, since we got together in 2020 and we're like refugees trying to escape California and all the tyranny there. And there's just so much weird energy in the world to deal with. And then, you have interpersonal things, health challenges, people die, shit is happening in your, interior life too.
Yeah.
I don't know. The human game is not for the faint at heart.
I'm really, though, ready and I'm experiencing the human part differently. Not that I disagree per se with what you just
Better not.
or else after this episode wraps, I'll get what's coming to me.
Let's tell everyone how you yelled at me a couple weeks ago.
It wasn't a couple weeks ago, it was just a few days ago. And I don't know that I want to get into all that. Not that, I'm like on a really positive note right now.
It was funny. I know I won't go into detail, but we don't fight, we don't call each other names or slam doors.
Yeah,
or
we're very
like
kind and very loving to each other.
But I tried to, I posed the idea of possibly pulling the plug on going to see Alyson's family because I was just completely underwater with this final edit of my book. And yeah,
Oh my God.
and we had planned it, for a while, and there was a lot of things resting on that, and yeah, that wasn't well received.
This is why I didn't really want to get into it because there's a lot. You can't just leave it hanging like that. Now we have to unpack it a little bit because to say it wasn't well received, there's a lot more context and nuance to that. Because I did stay calm for quite some time. But if you're going to tell the story, then we have to tell the whole story. We can't just like leave it like that. That doesn't feel aligned for me energetically now. So yeah, at first, when you proposed the idea, even though I was caught off guard, did I know that you've been working on these 10 times final edit, turn in final manuscript thing forever? Yes, I've witnessed you for the last 4 years working on this book or however long. But even with that awareness, it was still a curveball that you were proposing that you would not be able to attend this trip. And I still remained very calm and I laid on my back and I listened and I was breathing and I was processing, even though I was very much caught off guard, I was still very calm. It was when you kept potentially unnecessarily like digging your own grave, one could say, you just kept talking past what maybe was needed. And then when you tried to inform me as your wife that you were contractually obligated with this book, that's what set me off, because it's
that was
like,
the tipping point.
yeah, for various reasons. I'm also an author. I'm also an entrepreneur. I know how these things work. I don't need educated that you've signed a book contract and you have a literary agent. I'm fully aware of how these things work. And there was just something about, that comment that set me off, and the fire ignited inside. My blood began to boil. And then again, something like this happens. I would say it's very fair to say once every 2 to 3 years where like one of us has an outburst like this. But yeah, I did tell you to shut the F up, and I needed a moment. And I shut the bedroom door and went in the closet and stewed in there. I stewed in there thinking about how I could remind you that we also have a contract as a married couple. I was really coming up with some good things in the closet. And then before we went to bed, we were pretty much fine.
Yeah, you can never go to bed mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard, fast rule. I mean, I think what's great is that thankfully, I think we each have a decent ability at self-regulating and coming back to a feeling of safety within ourselves. So there would have been a time in my life, in relationships, if there was any sort of crunchiness like that, it would be very difficult for me to just stay in my own space and to feel okay. Like I would feel really panicked until I was able to fix the situation or get you or whomever to feel good again. It was difficult for me to kind of untangle my feelings and my experience from someone else's. So that was
because also it's not your job or my job to make anybody feel good again. Necessarily, that's an inside job. So
yeah, it's just like, I wouldn't ever say to you, hopefully, if I was, being as aware as I would like to be, like, well, you made me mad, or you made me feel this way or that way. It's like, you can't make me feel anyway, and I can't make you feel anyway.
Right.
Whether it's positive or negative, right? It's like, I can't, if you're kind of in a mood, I can't be like, come on, be happy. I'm going to make you happy. You can't make someone else happy. Just like you can't make someone else mad.
I had to go through sitting on the closet with the door shut, being on the floor in there, and like
you went into the rage room.
Yeah, I had to go through my own, like getting the boiled blood down to a room temp again, and then by the next morning, I mean, we were fine that night, but then by the next morning, you had apologized for, I don't even remember what you apologized for, and I apologized for cussing
Well,
you.
I think where I went wrong perhaps was I was kind of worked up. I was in a state, and I was kind of getting very anxious around, some of the pressure that I was feeling, whether real or imagined. And so when I opened up the topic, what I apologized for was I led with like, I don't know if I'm going to go. Or, which really what if I could, turn back time, I would have said like, hey, I'm starting to experience a lot of anxiety because I'm sensing X, Y, and Z.
Can we talk about some solutions?
Yeah. What are our options here?
Right. You just sat down and you're like, so look, I'm not going to be able to go. And I was just like, what?
So, but that, that's the thing. I mean, I think I talked about it with John Gray the other day, is there is some scientific validity to this in the male brain. It's like we have different kind of brains, men and women, right? And so there's something in the male brain wherein when you're feeling emotionally charged, the prefrontal cortex loses blood flow and you basically go brain dead. It's very difficult to think clearly and logically and also have strong feelings at the same time.
I've witnessed that in you.
Yeah. Just any guys listening will know, like, if you're upset, you're going to lose the argument with a woman because she can still think very clearly even when she's emotionally triggered.
As highly intelligent as you are, you're so wise. Yeah, when your brain goes into that mode, I I've heard you say the wildest stuff that makes no sense. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, honey,
God.
it's almost alarming because I'm like, are you really think that's a good idea? That really does feel like a shutdown in part of your brain.
100%. Yeah, brain goes offline, emotions are, adrenaline's too high. Remember when we were looking for a place to live in 2020? We went to Arizona. We stayed in Sedona for 2 months.
Yes, I
And
remember that well.
we stayed in a couple Airbnbs. And I don't remember what the deal was with Cookie, if there were no dogs allowed or if we didn't ask.
Well, we decided because we've been there for so long, and this isn't a long story. Because the irony is we both said today, let's just get right into the AMAs. Let's not chat before, and now we're chatting. But yeah, when we were in Sedona, we wanted to get into a different place unexpectedly. And so we found this place. And I think after we booked it, maybe we realized that dogs weren't technically allowed, but Cookie's a service dog and so well behaved. We're like, I think that's how it went.
I think that's what it was, yeah. And then we had to run some errands or we had to be somewhere. The internet in Sedona is like 1996. It's terrible. So we were, I'm trying to do the podcast. So we're running around trying to find good internet. So we were under some pressure to leave. And it was one of those situations where like I was feeling very anxious and my capacity for rational thought completely shut down. And so we're about to leave and we're like, what are we going to do with Cookie? And I
Well,
go,
the owner was coming over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the owner had to stop by. So we're like, oh, what are we going to do with Cookie? I was like, oh, I'm just going to put her in the closet. I'll just set her in the closet and then we'll go do our thing. And then if, the landlord could come and do whatever she needs to do and Cookie will just be hidden in the closet.
And I'm like, wait a second, let me get this right. We're going to go grocery shopping, the two of us. Also, side note, Cookie goes pretty much everywhere with us. She flies on the plane, she goes on all these trips with us. And I'm like, we're going to go to the grocery store together. We're going to leave the dog here. Not only are we going to leave the dog here who's not supposed to be here, we're going to put her in the closet. And you think when the landlord comes and like either knocks on the door or enters, Cookie's not going to hear that and not bark. It was just, yeah, that was a hilarious one. So anyways, but to tie this up into a little bow, because my point I was making before we got onto the other story was that I'm finding a new, like, pleasurable relishing in being human that I don't think I was consciously connected with as much previously in life. There's just something really like flourishing and enlivening inside me around the gift of being human. And I'm also seeing with like a new perspective and a new colored lens, the beauty of Earth again, or also potentially in a whole new way that I hadn't experienced it before. Like when we were in Indiana these past 7 days, it was almost like I was working with Wachuma the whole time. And anyone who has sat with that particular grandfather medicine, it can tend to, as you look around, especially at nature, nature is just somehow 100 times more beautiful. There's just like an extra glimmer and the colors are more vibrant. And the entire time in Indiana, it was completely medicine free in that regard. But I was seeing the beauty there from this small town that I'm from and the nature there in that way. And I'm just really grateful to be feeling the way that I'm feeling. And even human moments, like this one that we're sharing about, that again only happens, these outbursts between us in that way only happen once every couple of years. And I want to make clear, we speak to each other very lovingly and very kindly. And anyone who spends time with us knows that that's true. But it's like, even in moments like that, I think because of the way that we are together and the way we handle even rare outbursts like that, there's just, I don't know, there's just beauty and the human experience that I'm grateful to feel.
Yeah, unconditional love means no conditions.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know.
And I
There's a lot
also
we can
like
unpack there. But.
when something when something like that happens, I think one of the things that helps me to just stay calm and present to it and not create meaning around it is just that we have such a high degree of trust between us that I know no matter what happens that we're going to figure it out and work it out,
Yeah,
so it's
that
not like
yeah.
there's not an underlying fear of like, are we going to break up? Is she going to leave me? Or
That is a big underlying factor, and I was gonna weave that in. Is yeah, even when something like that happens, there is an ever presence of that wisdom that you just shared. Because you and I have both shared countless times about past relationships we've been in where they could be categorized easily as traumatic or abusive or both, or and so I'm very aware of those textures and terrains deeply, very intimately. And what you and I have is so completely different, like the foundation, the essence, the way that 99% of the time we, whether spoken or not, our energy toward each other is almost always respectful. And it has that trust and it has that kindness and it has that love. So when there is a ripple or a wave like the one we're sharing, what surrounds that is this other thing that's always ever present. So experiencing a blood boiling or an outburst moment like that one with you is completely different than when I would experience an outburst or blood boiling moment in relationships in the past, because those were so filled, and the field in those was so filled and riddled with like trauma and fear and codependency, like so many lower realm things. The field was filled with lower realm energetics. So when an outburst happened like that, it felt terrifying or devastating or whatever. But with you and I, it's completely different.
yeah,
The field, what the field is surrounded in and filled with is a healthy love frequency. And
there's a greater context of safety. And
yeah,
so within that context, there's moments where there's content, but the content is held within a much greater context. So there's like a sense of safety and permanence to the bond that supersedes, the minutia of humanness that happens from time to time.
Yeah, because I remember when I got off the closet room floor and went and laid down in the bed by myself to just continue to self-soothe and tend to my own process, I was, not that I was laughing about it, but there was an air already of just kind of like the humor, because this doesn't happen very often with us. It's almost like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's inevitable to have an outburst like that, and I don't want to say that we create it just to create it, but because 99% of the time we are so gentle and kind and respectful to each other, it's almost like every 1 to 2 years, it's like, let's throw,
Mix it up.
let's let's slam a door, like, I don't know. And so I was just kind of laying in the bed laughing, knowing that all is totally well, knowing that you and I are going to be fine in about another 10 minutes. One of us is going to go to the other and we're going to cuddle and apologize. And I remember laying there kind of chuckling inside at that moment we had.
I was chuckling the whole time.
You were?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't, happy that we had a disagreement or a moment of, tension, but I was just laughing at your fire.
Yeah.
It's like, kind of proud of you in a weird way. Like, oh, man, she's really good at advocating for herself, Now, I don't know about you guys, but I spent a lot of my life stuck in survival mode. Years of trauma, addiction, and general chaos left my nervous system never truly feeling safe. And even after I got my act together, there was still part of me that always felt on guard and bracing for impact. And that's why I connected so deeply with Lotus Way. Lotus Way makes these solar infusions that carry the energetic imprint of specific flowers, all designed to support your nervous system in a subtle but really powerful way. I started using their flower essences during a big life transition, and they've definitely helped me stay grounded, open, and less reactive. And now Lotus Way has created something special called Warriors of the Unseen Truth. It's a program for veterans, first responders, and anyone still carrying the invisible burden of trauma. Now, even if that's not you, you probably know someone who's still trying to find their way back to themselves. To help them or yourself out, visit lukestorey.com/warriors to learn more. And use the code Luke to save 10% off your first order. So whether it came from combat, childhood, or just the drama of modern life, a lot of us are carrying a weight our bodies never learned to put down. And Lotus Way offers beautiful tools to help you find your way back to center. Check it out at lukestorey.com/warriors. Code Luke will save you that 10%. Yeah. Anyway, all right, let's jump into the AMA. I just took a quick glance at them, and there's quite a good collection of questions. So
Yeah, so keep your curiosities coming. What's that email they can email? We're going to confirm, but yeah, you guys have been really sending in some fun ones to chat about, so keep them coming. All right, the first one, they did not list their name, so it's from an unknown listener. And he or she says, I'm about to adopt an 8-month-old rescue dog. Aw, congratulations. She's up to date on all the things, but once I have her, we won't do any more interventions. Excuse me. I'd like to know more about holistic pet care, detoxing them, and the healthiest dog diet on a budget. Feel like this is a good lane for us.
yeah, it's a question close to my heart. I mean, on a budget part is always challenging because some of the coolest things out there for humans and pets in terms of, health are expensive, which is annoying. But starting at the beginning of the question, yeah, when I adopted Cookie, she had been through the rescue system, the foster system for doggies. And so they gave her all of her, the required medication, yada, yada. And much like with humans that have reactions to certain medications, when I first adopted her, she had crazy allergies and hot spots and was like chewing her skin till it bled and was just totally nuts because they had just given her all those shots, That's my, suspicion. So, of course, I immediately, stopped all of that. I think the problem with domestic pets is that we have a parallel system for humans. There's a medical system for humans, allopathic medicine, and then you have the veterinary system, and they both kind of go hand in hand and operate in the same way. So I don't know that I'm correct, but my perspective is that there's a lot of well-meaning people in the veterinary industry, and I'm sure most of them are very, just well-intentioned, intelligent, kind people that are just operating within the context of a system. I believe that a lot of the interventions for pets at the highest level are maybe intentionally meant to make them sick and create a lifetime customer. Which is kind of a bold claim, but that's what I believe, and it's my podcast, and I can say what I want. And the reason that I believe this is just from, I don't know, years of kind of researching some of the corruption within the medical industry at large, including, the pet industry, and also from going into traditional vets and having them constantly trying to upsell you on 50 different dog pharmaceuticals. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, they have a list. They literally sometimes will come into the room with a checklist of like, you should do this. Will you do this?
Yeah, it's insane. So personally, I am an advocate for, completely organic pets. Don't need to do anything to them. I don't know, rabies. I've not seen Cookie get in a fight with a raccoon anytime recently. I don't know how a dog would get rabies if they're not running around in the wild. I'm not even sure if rabies is a real thing. I don't know. All I know is the less medication we've given our dog, the healthier she is, which is paradoxical to what you'd be led to believe by your vet down the street. So that's number one, making sure and I'm just speaking for our dog because I'm not a vet, so I'm not going to give medical advice for this person's. But to answer the question, I can answer it from a subjective point of view. So the water is really, really important, just like it is for humans. So, Cookie gets at the very least highly purified, structured water. If budget allows, which it usually doesn't, she drinks deuterium depleted water from Light Water, the 10 ppm. And the reason that I like to give her that water is because it's very powerfully anti-cancer. I interviewed a doctor, PhD immunologist named Dr. Q Collins a number of years ago, and he's an expert on deuterium. And we'll link to that in the show notes. And he actually piloted a study where I think it was either 50 or 100 dogs with cancer and put them on a keto diet, which I would argue dogs would naturally be on anyway. And they drank deuterium depleted water, and I forget what the results were, but the remission rates were insane just from giving them, a raw meat diet and having them drink the deuterium depleted water. So Cookie doesn't have cancer, but I would like her to be cancer free as long as possible, if not for the rest of her life. So the water is really important. And then, the other thing is that there are a lot of human grade supplements that are really good for dogs. I would say if I had just adopted one that was just immunized, actually, it's funny, this was in the Luke's latest show and tell, Zeolite, this brand Zeocharge. They have a really great new package, by the way, because they used to be in little jars and it was quite messy, and now they have them in a little Ziploc bag. But zeolite, and I don't, this is the only zeolite I personally have researched enough to recommend. There's a lot out there on the market that may be more or less clean. But this is a really clean one, and you can put a little zeolite or even activated charcoal in your dog's food, and that's a really good way to detox their gut, especially if they've just been injected with a bunch of strange shit. I mean, now they're giving dogs mRNA vaccines. So your dogs are like shedding in your house now, not like hair shedding, but shedding spike proteins. I mean, it's diabolical. I think they just really want to eliminate all happiness for humanity.
Jeez.
It's like, don't let them have healthy pets, God forbid. So yeah, the detoxing is really good. C60, this other brand. Yeah, I didn't plan this, but another one of my show and tells is a company called My Vital C. And My Vital C is one of the OG C60, carbon C60, which is a really unique antioxidant molecule. It's shaped like a buckyball, a Buckmeister Fuller ball. And so they're these minuscule little antioxidant molecules, and they're really good for inflammation. And that's one of the things that happens when pets get a lot of shots and also just, eating a poor diet. So C60 is really good for the doggies. Detoxing them with the zeolite's a bit more gentle than charcoal. I mean, charcoal is not going to hurt your dog. That's what a vet would give your dog if they got poisoned and you took them to the vet. They'd give them activated charcoal. So it's safe, but it's also gonna suck up anything, including nutrients. So you want to feed them the charcoal kind of at a time when you haven't given them supplements or food and things like that. But zeolite's probably the safest one. The C60, the beam minerals, the fulvic minerals are really good. And also, every once in a while, we'll give Cookie Quinton minerals, the hypertonic or the isotonic, the C plasma, which is, just super rich in minerals. I think one of the things that dogs sometimes miss is minerals unless you're giving them organ meats. Organ meats are loaded with minerals. Probably the best natural source other than oysters and certain seafood that also have a lot of minerals. So the detox with the zeolite or charcoal, and the C60 for the inflammation, the minerals, however you can get them in them. Another thing that's great for dogs is chlorella and spirulina. However, I learned
Yes.
that you only need to give them a little, and if you give them too much, which I did once, it can make your dog kind of sick. It's so rich. But you could use one of the little energy bits. I mean, like one spirulina or two or a chlorella, pop that in their food, and that's incredibly nutritious. And the spirulina has.
Yeah, you tried to mega dose Cookie that day.
Yeah, that was a bit of a fail. But the spirulina is interesting also because it has something called phycocyanin, which is a really potent anti-cancer molecule as well. And the spirulina and chlorella are just completely natural algae. So there's nothing pharmaceutical about them. I think those would probably be the top. And then also the doggies, they got to be outside. They got to be in the sun.
Grounding.
Yeah, they need grounding and natural light. So, unlike most dogs, our dog Cookie is not really a fan of being outside in the yard, which is weird because most dogs are obsessed with being outside.
Well, if we are, she is.
Yeah, but if we're in here, she's not going to go hang out in the backyard by herself.
True.
She's very attached.
She's a Velcro dog.
Yeah. And then another thing I learned recently, probably from one of your TikToks or something, was that, I'm always very concerned about Cookie not getting enough exercise. So I feel like, if we take her on a short walk, it doesn't really count because she's not getting her heart rate up. And I learned that if you can take your dog on a shorter walk and just let them sniff like crazy, and the sniffing uses up so much of their brain power, so much energy, and they're actually kind of almost hyperventilating when they're on a sniff fest. So that's a way that you can pack more sort of exercise in a shorter period of time with your dog, and also get them outside in that light. And then I also like to treat Cookie, with red light therapy and lasers and things like that.
She goes into the sauna on her own.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you do have to be careful because dogs don't sweat, and so. Yeah, she seems to know when she needs to exit. Like, she'll get up and go to the little door flap and ask to be let out. But yeah, I have to be careful.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I think animals are really brilliant teachers in that way because you can watch what they gravitate towards. So sometimes I'll turn the space sauna, which is a little canvas tent, and I'll be like, where the hell's Cookie? And I'm warming up the sauna, and then I go get in there, and she's already in there.
Yeah, she's
yeah. But I have been bitched at by Karens on social media because I posted Cookie in the sauna. They're like, you're going to kill your dog. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the dog knows when it's time to get out. Like, she's not going to sit in there and be like, oh, I'm too hot, but I guess I'll just lay here and die. She can just walk right out. And sometimes if I sense she's panting, I'll kind of like encourage her to get out.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's in there for 5 minutes or something, and she's on the floor. She's not like, in front of the lights or up high where it's the hottest.
Yeah. And my little 2 cents on this, because this person is saying that they don't plan to do any more interventions. Obviously, what you feed the dog is going to be vitally important because they're eating twice a day, every day. So we get a couple of brands. One is called Green Juju, Juju. And another one is Stella and Chewy's. And there might be a third, but it's more of the raw meat.
Yeah.
We also had Cookie allergy tested with like a lady who swung a pendulum. And I not that I don't believe in that, but I'm just not sure how accurate this lady was at doing it. But we have a list for Cookie, like she's fine with duck and goat meat and beef, but she's not supposed to have chicken and turkey. So we kind of have a list refined for her. And some of like the Green Juju is raw meat with like very few. There's only like 3 other ingredients, like carrot or other things that are okay for her. So getting a really simple, high quality food.
Yeah, I'm glad you thought of that because she did mention, on a budget. Unfortunately, a lot of the raw, pasture raised, regenerative, grass fed. I mean, you can get some pretty good. I mean, it's not human grade meat, but you can get some, pretty good dog food. But it is expensive. I mean, I noticed when we go to the dog store, pick up the dog food, it's like that was $100 or whatever. It's just
But if there's gonna be one thing you put your money into, I mean,
totally.
The water as well.
You could skip the dog supplements and just make sure they're not eating a bunch of carbohydrate, GMO kibble.
Right.
It's like same thing with humans. When the paleo diet became all the rage, people kind of figured out, oh, we've been omnivores for, all of recorded history. And these are the kind of foods we've eaten historically that have helped us to survive and thrive. And then all of a sudden, when our diets became really heavy and, in simple carbs, then, like grain-based diet, there's a lot of health problems. And so it's the same thing for dogs. You look at, what do coyotes and wolves and foxes eat? They're not eating a bunch of saltine crackers and white Wonder Bread. They're eating meat and probably other berries and shit they can scavenge, I assume. Cookie loves the blueberries too, the frozen blueberries.
She is obsessed with
Yeah.
wild frozen organic blueberries. Yes.
But yeah, I think the whatever you can get that's raw, and some of the raw dog food is also, the Stella and Chewy's is dehydrated, so it's basically you have to reconstitute it by mixing it with water.
But that's the one we travel with, and it's so convenient. You just get a bag of the Stella and Chewy's, pop it in your suitcase, and then wherever you go, your dog has got the good quality food. Whereas the green juju and the other frozen brand we get, which I forget the name of, that other one. But those go in the freezer, and then you just thaw out however many patties you would need for the next 3 days and let those thaw.
In terms of the food, it is definitely a limitation in terms of budget. If you have a big dog, I mean, I think about how much we spend on Cookie, and she has of the small patties, she has 6 total a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's a chunk of change to keep her in food. Imagine if she was a freaking Great Dane or something, she'd be half a bag a day.
I guess you got to factor them before you buy the dog.
Yeah.
If you know that you don't have the budget to properly feed them.
That's a good point. So anyone listening that's thinking about getting a dog and money's tight, and you see it remaining so for the foreseeable future, get a small dog. Just less calories needed to keep them going.
And last note on this, hopefully you won't need to, your dog will be healthy and thriving enough. You won't need ongoing vet care. But in Austin, we are so grateful. There's a holistic vet that we take Cookie to. It's called Roots Integrative Vet or something like that. And so, they don't push that list that we were referring to that other more traditional vets do. And they also now have their own in-house pharmacy. So for, heartworm prevention or things like that, they actually compound ivermectin in-house for Cookie and things like that. So she gets actual Chinese herb supplements for her lungs or for her allergies, as opposed to dog pharmaceuticals.
That was another difficult thing is some of the more traditional kind of VC-backed, what's the word? These chains of a vet franchise. There you go. Yeah. You can't even walk in the door unless you have all your papers,
Right.
And so that's kind of problematic too. So finding a holistic vet was really helpful. We walk in, we're just we're not doing any of that. So case closed, next, it's not a conversation
and they're not jerks when you say that either. It's okay.
Yeah. They kind of give you a wink almost we get it. It's gnarly. Yeah. So hopefully that's helpful to our doggy lover. I mean, I think getting this dog was one of the biggest upgrades of my entire life. I can't believe I felt like I was missing out on a lot of love for a very long time by not really being into dogs. I used to think burnout was just the price you had to pay for being productive. Then I found something that helps me stay focused for as long as I need without feeling smoked afterward. It's called NewCalm. It uses a neuroacoustic software to help shift out of fight or flight and into deep recovery in 10 minutes. And the cool thing is there's no gadgets to buy or haul around. You just throw on headphones, open the app, and within minutes you start to downshift or upshift if that's what you're looking for. I've been busy writing a book for the past couple years, and it's one of the most mentally demanding things I've ever done. I'm talking hours and hours of deep focus, revisiting old memories, and organizing a ton of ideas. So before I start a writing session, I'll use one of their flow state tracks to get me into Zen. Then I'll lock in with a focus track for the next few hours of writing. And I'll tell you what, my wife can attest to this. When I have those headphones on, it's literally impossible to distract me. I'm like a machine. Then afterward, I'll use Recharge or Rescue to help my brain and body recover from hours of intense work. Just 20 minutes of that feels like a full nervous system reset, and NewCalm science supports that. I highly recommend you check out NewCalm, and here's how you do it. Go to lukestory.com/NewCalm to start your free 7-day trial. That's free 7-day trial, folks. You'll also save 15% off your subscription. So whether you need better sleep, sharper focus, or a fast reset, NewCalm has a track for it. And again, here's the link, lukestorey.com/newcalm. That's NUCALM to get that 15% off. And whether or not you buy it, I highly recommend you at least give yourself 7 days for free.
Okay. Are you ready for Luke's latest, or do you want to do another one?
No, let's do it.
Which one?
Luke's latest. That's my favorite part.
Okay. Well, go for it.
Okay, so Luke's latest, for those that don't know, I'm a geek, I just admit it. I'm constantly researching, buying, trying out new stuff in the realm of wellness tools. And so we do these episodes once a month, and I always think like, oh, there's nothing new. And then I go through the cupboards or check the mail and I go, oh, actually there's some cool new things that I've discovered that I want to share. Sometimes they're so new, I don't really know what to make of them yet, but they're interesting enough to at least talk about. So I already mentioned the Zeocharge Zeolite, and that's not new. In fact, I had the founder on the podcast a year ago or so. They have new packaging, but I think I brought this up. Well, it ended up being good for the dog question, but it's become like a daily thing now.
I love it too. I'm really drawn to it.
Yeah. When I travel, I don't know, I'll notice like if I don't take it at night, usually I do it. Well, sometimes I do it in the morning too. I definitely do it when I take saunas, but I like to take it like very last thing before I go to bed. And 100%, with 100% certainty, I can say I wake up much more clear-minded and refreshed and just not so groggy when I take the Zeolite.
Well, especially after travel. I mean, truly, true statement. When we got home at 2 a.m. or 1:30 a.m. this morning, the last thing I did before I went to sleep was I drank a glass of Zeolite.
Samesies.
And I really think, because, oh my gosh, I don't even like to think about when you're on those planes, the things you're breathing in and whatever. But I really feel like that helped me wake up without like a travel headache or some of that stuff you get from the inflammation.
Yeah, me too. It also sucks up endotoxins and histamines. So it's not just, metals and mold and pesticide residue and shit that you end up, ingesting inadvertently, but it soaks up kind of anything that you don't want in your gut.
The ickies.
It soaks up all the ickies. So huge fan of Zeocharge Zeolite, and it's relatively affordable in terms of a supplement. I think for the benefit you get for $1, it's pretty good.
I was taking it on my parasite cleanse too, which was helpful.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have all kinds of microbes in our gut. Some are beneficial and some less so, but those things, they go poop inside you, and so that's
they do. They toot and poop inside your tummy.
There's a lot of toxins that aren't even coming.
Then you've got your toots and poop and their toots and poop.
Yes. Next thing is I went Max today, so I'm wearing my I'm getting the lost.
It just fell off.
Well, I put it on before I went to bed, so it's like way past its expiration. But this is the Ion Layer NAD patch. I just feel like I want to suck as much out of it as I can, even though I wore it like all night. But I'm into the NAD, and their patches are super cool. And interestingly, I don't know what they changed, but they used to kind of irritate my skin. So I'd have to switch arms halfway through the 8-hour, absorption period. And I had one on all night last night while I slept, and it didn't irritate my skin at all.
Nice.
So I don't know if they changed something. The patches are super cool. NAD Plus is, essentially what it takes to make energy in your mitochondria to make ATP. And so your body can produce NAD, but as you get older, your levels typically tank. So some people are really against the idea of using exogenous NAD, but I find my body really likes it and I feel really good, especially for travel. So, those patches are awesome. However, I know what I was going to say. You can't take NAD orally, so a lot of companies make different precursors, which are the things that your body uses to make NAD, because you can produce it, but just less so as you get older. So you can really only get NAD into your system with a needle or with these particular patches that have they're conductive. So they're like a battery, and it drives the NAD molecule into your skin, because the molecule is too big to pass through your skin normally. So you can't just like put a cream on. So the patches from Ion Layer are awesome. But then they sent me this, I guess it's kind of like an EpiPen, I
I'm obsessed
imagine.
with this thing.
Yeah. And so it comes with, 200 milligrams in this, kind of chamber. And then you screw one of these little needles on. It comes with a bag of these
It's very
needles.
easy.
Yeah, so you screw one of these little needles on, and then you just dial the number on the side. There's a little dial, and you dial it to however many milligrams you want. It comes with a little plan. You want to do X milligrams for 30 days and so on. But it's very easy to accurately gauge your dose. And then you just screw this little needle on, and you just pop it in your belly fat, of which I have plenty, and you push the little trigger down, and all of a sudden it's over. You literally don't feel the needle going in, which is, sometimes when I use the peptides, it's like, it's not that fun because the needle does kind of hurt. But this thing is totally,
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
yeah, it's totally painless. And, you can ramp up your dose quite a bit if you could afford it. And so that's a really cool innovation. This one, I think I've talked about before, and I had Matt Maruka, who created this, on the show a few months ago. This is the raw lighting, Lumios lighting. And this was the first trip we took where I got to bring their bulbs with us. And I am freaking obsessed. So hopefully many people listening will know that your average LED lighting that we have in our homes is complete trash. And it's really toxic, narrow bandwidth of blue light, completely non-native, unnatural, alien. It doesn't exist in nature. It's just an aberration. And so you've got the spectrum, which is a problem, but then you also have flicker, which is a huge problem for your neurology. When lights flicker, I think LEDs flicker 120 times a second. So if you're wondering if your lights flicker, you can film a slow motion video on your iPhone, and you'll see if your lights flicker or not. So flicker and toxic blue light are both really bad, and I'm just a huge advocate for dialing in your lighting. So over the years, we've used incandescent bulbs. We have some of those in most of these rooms, and then there are some pure red LED lights that don't flicker, but they're a very narrow bandwidth of red, which people like you sometimes find irritating, and so on. So I've been looking for the perfect light bulb, because incandescent lights get kind of hot. They use a bit of energy, if you have a bunch of them on in your house. And incandescent lights also flicker a little bit, just not as dramatically as LED lights. LED lights turn all the way on and all the way off. And the flicker is like a strobe light, wherein there's kind of a natural pulse in incandescent lights. So they go dim, bright, dim, bright, dim, bright, instead of on, off, on, off, on, off. So less disruptive, but still kind of annoying. The problem with most of your LED lights that are, outside of the toxic blue range, they might be red or orange or whatever, is that they don't have any near infrared. And the way our houses are built and the way we design our windows cuts out all the infrared light, which is really bad. You need that. You need a full spectrum. So the Lumios lights from Raw Optics, they make the glasses, and now lighting, Raw Lighting Ltd, they figured out how to make near infrared in an LED light. So they call it an LED incandescent because it has all of the qualities of an incandescent without the heat and without the flicker and without the energy consumption. So their bulbs are made so that you can, I think they have 3 different ones where you can flip the switch and change the color tone. So this is the daylight one that has a different spectrum of daylight. So if you want to be alert and focused, you can have that on. But if you want light that doesn't disrupt your circadian rhythm and sleep at night, you can choose the red or orange. And the lighting is just freaking beautiful. Like, I'm so bummed we only have 3 of them, because I want to do the whole house, because it just, I don't know, it's really warm and inviting, and it doesn't irritate your eyes like the purely red bulbs do.
Yes.
So not new, but I just want to give Matt a shout out, and also just be honest when I say I'm so pissed someone else figured this out, because if I could invent one product, it would be the perfect light bulb, and he beat me to it. God bless him. Okay, next one is Igniton. I thought it was ignition from looking at the bottle.
I want to see one.
Yeah. So Igniton makes 2 products. This one's called the Igni Cognition. And this freaking thing, I mean, I've taken a lot of nootropics. I remember when saw this website, I was like, oh, great, like another generic nootropic, boring. I'm so over supplements. Like, no one's doing anything cool. It's so rare that somebody makes something that is, I don't know, unique and innovative, or that you actually feel when you take it. And I was like a little skeptical. I was like, I don't know. I've heard of some of these ingredients. Acetylcholine, alpha GPC, N-acetyl L-tyrosine, phosphatidylserine, CoQ10, 8-ADH. I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is in every, longevity supplement. But there's something they do with their particular formula. I don't know, some sort of quantum energy charging. I'll try and track them down for an interview and find out what's up. But this freaking cognition one is like a lifesaver. I take this every single morning. And I find it's really good for just mental acuity, clarity, memory, focus. But it is absolutely, there's zero stimulation. So it's not at all like caffeine or even paraxanthine. There's no sort of stimulant effect to it. So it's really good for calm flow state, but also, being sharp and alert. So big fan. These guys crushed it. That one you take at night.
Igni Longevity.
The longevity. Yeah. So I don't notice that one because I obviously am sleeping when it's doing what it's doing.
This one says in the morning.
Oh, for real? Yeah. I haven't taken it at night.
It says take 2 capsules by mouth daily in the morning.
Well, that's why.
That's why you're not noticing.
That's why I'm not feeling it. This one I know not to take at night because even though it's not stimulating, I mean, it definitely lights your brain up. But thanks, I learned something new today. I'm supposed to take them both in the morning. I already mentioned the My Vital C. Now, there's a lot of companies now making C60 products, and it's not as bad as the peptide industry, but it doesn't take a lot of brain power or equipment to make C60, but it takes a lot of brain power and equipment and money to make it right. And so I've researched these guys for quite a while now. Been aware of them, used their products a few years ago, and then just kind of forgot about it. But these guys are like the C60 OGs. So if you're going to use C60, this one is the one I'd recommend.
Which one is it?
It's called My Vital C. And it comes in, it's C60s, yeah, it needs to be suspended in a fat. So this one you can get in MCT or olive oil, extra virgin organic olive oil.
There's coconuts on the label, though.
This one has MCT, which is made from coconuts. Yeah, I don't mind the the olive oil based ones, but if you're like putting it in a drink or something that you don't want to taste like salad dressing, not so much. So I like the coconut one just because it's a inert flavor. I got a lot today. Okay, like another category where I'm like, I'm so done is like protein powders. Do we have enough protein powders? Anyone out there starting a company? We're good. We're good on the protein powder, okay? Especially the collagen protein. There's 50 brands out there. I know because I know people and know some things. All the collagen peptides you get out there, which is, powdered collagen, they're often like the same place in Argentina, and they're made from cow hides. And so they use this enzymatic breakdown process to extract the collagen from the hides. No problem. Only thing is, it's very prone to heavy metal contamination, microbe contamination.
Oh,
so
hell no.
There are clean brands out there, but you got to really kind of do some due diligence to ensure that your collagen protein is clean. So, there's a couple that I've found over the years that I like. And then these guys at Peak Tea, one of our sponsors, send me their marine collagen peptides. I'm like, oh God, you guys, really? We don't need another protein. Dude, this shit is insane. So it's got type 1 and 2 collagen, biotin, and pearl powder. The pearl powder is really good for your eyes and for your skin, as of course is collagen. And so this, rather than being from the cows in Argentina, is actually from wild fish. And so very bioavailable and really good for hair, skin, nails, and
I
just,
need to get on that.
oh, dude, it's insane.
What do you mix it with though?
Anything.
Does
That's
it
what I'm
have a
getting to.
flavor? Oh,
Dude, this stuff, it is so freaking good.
let
Smell
me
that.
smell.
It's like
I'll
vanilla.
be the judge of
It's
this.
vanilla, creamy. It's delicious. And the raddest thing about it is
All right, it smells pretty good.
you can mix it in any drink and it just instantly dissolves, where some of the other collagen proteins are kind of grainy and they get all clumpy and weird, and they like float to the top and they're all chunky. This
So there's
one,
no fishy flavor.
oh God, no, it's freaking delicious. So you put that like in a coffee or a cacao, like with their non-deca product, the cacao powder. You put some of that, maybe a little bit of coconut oil or MCT or butter, ghee, whatever, a little fat. Froth that baby up.
Do we have more than
insane.
one bag of this?
Unfortunately, no. You don't touch.
We need a his and hers.
No, we need.
I
need
haven't
like
tried this.
10 pounds of that stuff. It is so good. Another thing that's cool about, if you get a really good bioavailable collagen like this, is it's really good for sleep. Like I take it before I go to sleep too, because it's got when your body breaks down the collagen, you get a lot of glycine from that. So sometimes I'll even add extra glycine, but glycine is really good for sleep. So that, and then you get on some vitamin C, which helps the synthesis of the collagen to create skin and joints and ligaments and all the things. And then the silica that we have in the fridge. Man, you want to get the beauty regimen going, silica, this amazing collagen, and vitamin C, and you're golden.
All right.
Yeah.
Got any more goodies?
Yeah. And okay, another one.
This one just arrived, right?
Yeah. Just when I think like I'm bored of everything. So Four Sigmatic sent me this protein coffee.
I will attest, again, we got home at 1:32 in the morning and I walk out of the bedroom. Luke's already frothed up a drink and he's like, you got to try this. And it is very good.
Dude, it's hella good. So Four Sigmatic, they're like the OGs of the coffee mushroom space. They were one of my first sponsors, I think, in 2017. They made these little packets of like, the mushrooms and coffee and stuff. So they made a protein coffee that's got collagen, creatine, and lion's mane. And so, I know the company. I've vetted them. Their stuff is clean. So I'm on board for that. But, I'm kind of like, instant coffee. And like, I want French press. I want some real coffee. Anyway, I stand corrected. I am humbled. I tried this morning and it's like,
you're humbled and
freaking so good. And if anyone from Four Sigmatic ever hears this, or anyone who sells a product in like a little Ziploc bag like this, you need to talk to Four Sigmatic, because these guys figured out how to make the little freaking zipper actually close.
It's more like Velcro.
Yeah, it's one of the most annoying things about these bags is like, especially if it's a powder, it gets in there and then you can't close it, and then your stuff gets oxidized and goes bad. So Four Sigmatic made a great product and also made a Ziploc that actually zips, which is the first I've ever seen in my life.
You're very excited about your goodies today.
I mean, it's like every day's Christmas for me. And then I had one more shout out, because I'm just, last week, the week before this one comes out would have been the one that I did with the founder of Lima Laser. And so I will have talked about it there. I talked about it in another AMA, but this was the first travel that I was able to do with not one, but two Lima lasers.
Double fisting.
And dude, I'm a big fan.
I'm a big fan too.
I'm on the plane. I mean, they market their lasers more for beauty, right? For, kind of anti-aging skin and whatnot. But anyone that knows light and lasers, infrared light, they're really good for all kinds of things, especially your brain. So as you well know, I am psycho on airplanes, because flying just completely...
don't use that word.
Whatever. Okay. I'm interesting. I'm an interesting passenger.
Okay, we'll give you that.
If you were sitting anywhere near me, I'm an interesting character on that plane.
He zips his face up, and
I got my EMF hoodie on. I got my hydrogen inhaler. I'm taking a grip of supplements. I wish I could just get on the plane and be a normal guy, but I don't know. I'm more sensitive than everyone else on the plane, apparently, because I just get destroyed by flying. So I'm always looking at things. So I took the Lima lasers, two at once. And I mean, I'm doing the dome the whole trip because of the blood flow, right? Your blood kind of gets thicker. You
And
lose
the vagus
viscosity.
nerve and the neck.
I'm doing the vagus nerve in my neck. I'm doing my tinnitus ears. And I just, I'm giving 0 Fs. I've been the weirdo for my whole life, so I've just kind of embraced it,
Well, thankfully you married a fellow weirdo.
I was thinking about that. We're on the plane, dude. I'm like, I got antlers on. I'm sitting in my seat with these lasers on
You have
my
your nose
cranium.
cannula in with your
I got my
hydrogen.
cannula in. They probably think I'm like a really sick person, which maybe I am in some ways. So I was sitting there thinking, it's so cool that my wife is unbothered by this. I think a lot of people would feel self-conscious or embarrassed to be associated with the guy, the guy, the weird guy. And you're just chill. Like Alyson doesn't even notice, I think, at this point. It's just, oh, he's over there doing his little.
I couldn't care less.
His little thing. So I appreciate that you are confident enough in yourself and you have enough self-esteem that you don't let my objective strangeness, shade your joy.
I'm all about you being healthy and feeling good. You've been working so ridiculously hard on this book and keeping the podcast going and all the videos and shoots and just all the things. You've been really maxing your system out for so long.
God, you're so right.
Whatever you need to do to stay healthy and continue to be well, I'm just like, that's one factor. The other factor is I just don't care and I'm not bothered, and I've always been weird too, so whatever. But I want you to be healthy. So if you need to double fist the lasers the whole plane ride, whatever.
Yeah. And also for the back pain, really great.
I've been utilizing both layers on my face as I've started to share about, I think the last 1 or 2 episodes that we do together. Yeah, I'm just the last year or two for the first time noticing, especially on camera and especially with this particular rough lighting, which I was curious, there's like there's like a light that you can put like a
uplight.
Yeah, I think I need the uplight.
Let's do it.
Wonder if we could just set one like right here.
Give you a uplight.
Give me a little, put one on the floor. But so I'm noticing things on camera, and you're supposed to, for the facial rejuvenation, for the collagen stimulation and building, utilize a laser every day for the first 3 months. And then I think you can go to 3 times a week or once a week, whatever. So I'm still definitely within the first 3 months, but I'm really enjoying how it feels.
Me too. I was using it on Cookie a little bit on the plane too. The cool thing about the way they design this laser is it doesn't cause damage. The way some of their lasers and red light therapy work is kind of like lifting weights, right? You're damaging the muscle and then it comes back stronger.
Yeah, there are definitely some women who fear, that laser red light actually isn't great, especially if you're a woman working on your face skin, and that it might strip down the fat as opposed to, and so women get really nervous about that.
Yeah, these guys crack the code on that. It causes no damage and it doesn't heat the tissue. It's like slightly warm, but it's not like an infrared light where if you held it on yourself long enough, you could burn yourself. So I'm obsessed. I'm so stoked that somebody made, a laser that's that effective and durable.
And the founder's really sweet. Like, she was very fun to chat with and generous and thoughtful and kind and down to earth. I just enjoyed her as a person, which always makes you feel better about the product.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right. Ready to show and tell done?
Yep, I think that's it. We're living in the most advanced time in human history. So why are so many of us exhausted, wired, and barely holding it together? Back when I started this podcast in 2016, I was living under 2 cell towers in LA, and it was a nightmare. I had insomnia, migraines, blurred vision, vertigo, nausea. My system was just maxed out. It was absolutely terrible. So when I moved to Texas, I hardwired the internet, shielded our bedrooms, and did all the physical EMF mitigation you can imagine. But here's the unfortunate reality. You can't eliminate every signal unless you live in a cave. And that's what led me to Quantum Upgrade. It harmonizes the field you live in so your body stays coherent inside all that static that you can't control. And this isn't just a feeling. Their research shows improvements in HRV, brainwave balance, and cellular energy. It's pretty simple, really. If your system is under less stress, you're going to feel it, and I do. What does that look like? Well, I sleep deeper, I think more clearly, and I don't feel wrecked by my environment anymore. So if you want to upgrade your whole situation right now, here's what you do. Go to lukestorey.com/quantumupgrade and use the code Luke15 to start your 15-day free trial. If you want your space working for you instead of against you, this is one of the smartest upgrades you can make. Again, that's lukestorey.com/quantumupgrade, and that code is Luke15 to get 15 days totally free. You can also find those links and codes in the show description.
Okay. Pee-wee's being a good support doggy. She's down there resting. Oh, little Peanut, little cutie girl. Okay, let's see which kind of energy I want to take us into. Why not? Let's go to another unknown named listener who asks, how can you move beyond the fear of dying and embracing death as another curious experience of life? Beautifully phrased question. I like how they put that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there's the only fear that might be comparable is the fear of public speaking.
Well, it depends on the person.
Here's the thing. All fears, in my experience, are ultimately leading to a fear of death, right? So if you take public speaking, flying in an airplane, hypochondria, whatever, anything,
even being a part of a community,
anything that we're afraid of, if you follow the thread, ultimately that you lost your job or a divorce or you got foreclosure on your house, whatever, right? All of them follow this little thread to the moment you're going to leave your body before you feel like you want to or you're ready to, So I look at all fears as a fear of death. And, I have my fears. I have my anxiety when I'm freaking out about a deadline or something. I don't, in the moment, equate it to death. But if I do a little self-inquiry, okay, what happens if I miss this deadline? Someone's going to get mad at me. Oh, okay. Well, what happens then? Well, then, I could end up alone if everyone got mad at me. And, as a mammal, we know innately that if we're alone, if we're ostracized, if we're abandoned, we won't make it. We need other humans to survive, right? Or then I won't be able to make money. They take my money away. Well, what happens then? Well, then I lose my house, won't be able to eat. Well, then what happens? Then I have to go live under the freeway. Maybe I'll crash with friends for a little while, family. They'll get sick of that. Eventually I have to go sleep outdoors. Then I could get mugged or beat up.
Yeah, well, you keep unpacking it. It always goes back
it's like it's the Russian dolls, right? You just keep unpacking those fears and they just all lead to the fear of death. And so my practice is knowing that and sensing when I have fear in my body and trying to trace it to the ultimate fear, which is death, and remind myself that the more I can face and acknowledge and welcome the moment I leave my body, the less scary it is. But it's something that concerns me, not so much like a fear of death in that I'm afraid that there's nothing after this. The fear of death for me is more like, how am I going to know what to do when I leave my body? Am I going to be able to make the right choices in terms of where my soul goes? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of deception in this 3D realm, and I would assume there's also a lot of deception in the other realms in between this one and all of the infinite number of realms where your soul could go.
I would think the more you can familiarize yourself and really make it your top devotion or top priority in this earth walk, earth life, to get to know pure love God and familiarize yourself with pure love God and keep that union and that communication and relationship thriving and growing and doing all you can every day to stay in pristine alignment with pure love God, knowing that essence, that feeling, that frequency while here, then as and when you cross over, staying fully attuned and in that pristine alignment with pure love God, then I feel like that's the master key.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Getting to know the signature, the signature, you can't forge a signature very easily, there's a signature to that feeling. Yeah, that's a good one. The other one for me has definitely been 5-MeO DMT, which is, I don't know, as close as I could imagine to a near-death experience, because your sense of individuality, of like what makes you is kind of, well, not kind of, it's very much gone for a few minutes, 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes maybe. Yet you're still there, right? It's like, well, I'm kind of, I don't know, dead's the right word, but the me that I think I am, the Luke Storey, this character, this avatar, persona, ego, it just gets pushed aside. Yet there's still awareness, right? It's just awareness that is outside of your normal subjectivity. It's a more broad awareness. It's just, you're just in the pureness of awareness, capital A, without like an individual you so much, which is what makes it terrifying, because the ego is like, no, we need to cling to the me. That's my job, right? And whatever it does to the brain, to the spirit, in that particular medicine experience, there's a separation there between like who you are as your soul, non-local, non-personified being, and the one that's part of your body and nervous system and brain and all the physicality, right? Super scary, but also, in terms of fear of death, for me, very affirming, because I feel like I died, but I was still alive. You know what I mean?
So you could have potentially, if not most likely, been acclimating yourself to the feeling that you will have as you are crossing over and going into more of that expanse of that love frequency.
Yes, exactly. And also just,
it's almost like you're preparing to know how to do it.
Yeah, and that's, it's no accident that I've not worked with that medicine in many years now. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh God, I'd really like to, because it's just such a profound experience. But it's also kind of jarring, because it's just so, it's just so next level. It's so extreme, which is good, because I think it's probably not something that anyone would want to do many times.
And good at the right time, because I have not yet, and I don't know if I ever will, be called to work with that particular medicine. The one time that I was really intentionally tuning in to see if I was called, this was enough years ago. I was already amidst such intense life experiences that when I really sat with it and thought it through and felt it through, I was like compounding Bufo along with what I was already experiencing in just everyday life. Felt like it could potentially be more traumatizing.
Yeah, I remember that.
I opted out.
I remember that. So that said, to the question, obviously vaporizing toad venom is not something that is appealing to many people or accessible to people, even if they want it. Like, where do you even do that?
Trusted people. Yeah, to go
to. Trusted people, even rarer still. But I brought that up not as like, oh, just do Bufo and you won't be afraid of death anymore. But it's whatever it takes to get to a point. It could just be Vipassana meditation, anything that gives us the experience of consciousness to the point where the me-centric perspective, point of view is less dominant, right? We poke into a realm where it's like, oh wow, everything really is connected, and the parts of myself and my human experience to which I'm attached become more diffuse and looser. It's like, God, sometimes I think about, losing Cookie or losing you, and it's just, I mean, it feels like a death in and of itself, right? Because I have such a strong attachment, or to, our house or my career or youth or whatever, right? So it's like any experience we can enter into that allows us to loosen up those attachments has the net effect of releasing a lot of that fear of the unknown. So it's like, well, if I'm afraid of death, what am I really afraid of? Okay, let's leave aside a violent death where you suffer or you get injured in a car accident, you're on the side of the road for 5 hours, just, in abject pain. Let's just say you died in your sleep, a peaceful sleep. It's like, what are we afraid of? We're afraid of not being able to take what we think we own with us, right? It's like our relationships, the people we love, material things, all of that. It's like, no, it's not that I don't want to go over there into the realm outside of the body. It's that I want to keep all the stuff that I have here to which I'm attached. So for me, it's always a practice of identify, whether it's bufo or meditation or anything in between, it's really identifying my attachments and acknowledging that I'm designed to become attached to things and people. That's part of what keeps us on the planet, right? Otherwise, people would have a rough day and everyone would be off in themselves. It's like, there's something that keeps us tethered to this earth realm and the people and animals and things that we experience here.
The other thing that just pinged into me, which I had thought about this week, but I just remembered, it's thundering. Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's thundering outside.
God's talking to us.
Yeah. I also have been pondering, imagine the inverse of this when we're in the field, source field with pure love God, and we're in our spirit soul form and devising our next incarnation, and we know that we got selected and we're going to have another go round on earth.
Oh boy.
Then when we're in soul form, do you think it's just the opposite? Like when we know we're going to have to go through.
Oh, we're like, God damn it, I don't want to let go of not having a body.
And also the feeling too, like it's the feeling that we have as a soul spirit, and we know that we got to go through that voided gestation period of growing into a physical human form and knowing the right time to drop our soul into that form when it's to the point where you do that, and then, kind of forgetting what that's going to feel like, and then knowing we've got to somehow make it through the vagina birth canal, knowing that we've got to survive that. I've been pondering the exact inverse of when we're in human form, we kind of have this fear of death. But then when we're in soul spirit form, we almost kind of have, I don't know if fear is the right word, but this like, oh my gosh, like I kind of forget how that goes. And I've got to kerplunk into that form, and I've got to make it through the vagina or the canal. Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
I think we may have the same types of ponderings, just in the opposite way.
I never thought of that. That's a really interesting idea.
And I also think for me lately, for whatever reason, and I'm not prescribing this, whatever, it's a newer exploration for me, but I've really been being led over the last couple months to for the longest time, I've had an understanding the birth, death portal is a one portal. There's soul spirit coming in, there's soul spirit going out. It's one portal. It's an in, out, exit, entrance portal. But lately, I personally have just been being led to not really wanting to view it as birth and death anymore. It's just one thing. It's just creation.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I don't know that I want to try to explain that in words, I'll just kind of let that transmission be sent for whoever this listener is, if there's anything in that, and just hearing me say that, receiving the transmission of it, there's something in that that lightens the load of it for me. It's one thing, it's creation.
Yeah.
Because even when we were at my dad's house and I wanted to go out to the yard to pay respects to old Scrammy the cat, I loved Samuel. My dad and my brothers had this cat that they think lived to be 25. They're not sure, but they're pretty positive. And he died last year. And I loved Samuel, Scrammy Doo. He was such a sweet, beautiful, silver big boy cat. And they buried him in the backyard, just as we did to Jelly Boy. Our black Persian cat is buried in our yard. And interestingly enough, we're in Texas, my family's in Indiana, but both cat burials, there are these clovers that only started to grow in the cat burial sites for both of us that are not prevalent or noticeable in any other part of the yard. And again, it's that same thing. It's like this offering to the womb of Great Mother Earth, and then in exchange, there's this other thing that gets created, and so rather than viewing it an exit or entrance or a birth or a death, it's just I'm being led to viewing it and feeling it and experiencing it as this transmission of one simple thing that is also perhaps the most profound thing, and that is creation. It's simply, all of this is simply creation. And there's something different about the energy of feeling it and talking about it in that way as opposed to death and birth. And there's also one big point I wanted to make along this, because I actually really like this subject matter. It feels very natural and at home to me. In the last 5 years, I have just been fortunate enough to be able to witness this type of creation, aka death, and in various forms. I had my own near-death experience. I have witnessed very close people in my life, whether it be blood family members or soul family members, come also to death's door, and some made it and some crossed over. I've been able to witness multiple animals and humans make their passage way back home to God. When we were in Indiana, like the handling of ashes, witnessing you take your father's ashes, climbing up that huge, biggest peak in Aspen, and like the videos that you have. And you were so generous to share last year that one video on Instagram where you were delivering your father's ashes to his favorite mountain peak in Colorado. And like, there's something just so profound that has led me into such different scopes and textures and layers of wisdom around what we call death, and so many different forms, that in the generosity of these animals and pets allowing me to be witness to them make their passageway home to God, I'm now one of the many mind-blowing, beyond words gifts that I've been bestowed in those processes. Is I am now completely differently more equipped to make my own passageway home, because I was given the gift to be witness to someone else doing it. And in learning how they did it, oh my gosh, it is the most profound gift I can imagine. For someone to let you into, we were able to, there's different examples, which I won't go into detail about, but, just one being your father, and in the hospital room. And when you're witnessing someone's soul find their cadence, and, even if you maybe don't have the gifts online that I do as a seer and able to venture into these different realms and dimensions so on demand or consciously, I think we all have these gifts. I've just really exercised them to come alive and be very, very present and robust. But when I'm watching this human form and the soul find its way and the pacing and how it will exit out of the human body and like tend to this thing and like commune with God and then like kind of take another bit of time to enter back in so that the soul feels more present for you as the son and your brothers to have more of a conscious moment of completion. And then when the soul feels that you and your brothers have reached that full completion of sharing whatever you need to say, then the soul travels back out. I mean, like, what profound learning. And I just happened in the last 5 years to have been graced with the ability to be present to these remembrances and these relearnings of how it's done. And so I just, when I think these animals and humans again, just from the centermost illuminated part of my heart, like, thank you for allowing me to be there. Thank you for allowing me to remember. Thank you for allowing me to receive the codes of these holiest of portals, this holiest of creation portal. I mean, if I could give one piece of advice, it's like, especially over here in the US, in Africa and so many other countries, like being witness to someone making their passageway is so commonplace. It's like, it's not like tucked away in a corner and feared. It's just more present. And gosh, I just think, wow, if over here in the US and Western culture, we were more acclimatized to being able to talk about death, aka creation portal, and be witness to the process more, that alleviates 90+% of the fear.
Totally.
It's so beautiful and it's so holy.
Yeah. There's a guest we had on a couple years ago named Stephen Jenkins. I don't remember if you were here that day. He's a Canadian guy, older fella, really cool clothes, long hair, really neat.
Oh, yes,
neat
he was
looking.
really fascinating. What was
Yeah.
his book?
I think it's called Die Wise.
Yeah, we have it here.
And
I enjoyed him.
Yeah, really great guy. Unfortunately, we only had around 45 minutes that
Very
day.
unique fella.
Yeah, he was really cool. Kimberly Ann Johnson introduced me to him, another former guest. But he's someone who's spent a lot of time in hospice and just experienced a lot of people leaving their body, and his whole perspective is very much aligned with yours, and that is that one of the reasons we in the West are so afraid of death is because it's something that we just, shy away from. We have such an aversion to it.
It's like the fear of the unknown because you don't know it because you're not given the opportunity to watch it and witness other people find their way home.
Yeah. There are many reasons why, but part of the reason why I really wanted to be very present to my dad's death was for that reason. It's just, I could go on and on. There's so many reasons, but one of the many reasons, other than, the main one, is just I really love the guy and I just want to be there till the last breath, that's the main one. But also just, it's so painful and so scary and so uncomfortable that I know from past experiences, if I can meet an edge like that and show up for it, there's so much to be learned and gained from having the ability and courage to face that, And so my dad was in the hospital. No one's making me stay there. Some of the other people went and got some sleep, and it's just, you couldn't have dragged me out of there. It's like, you could have called the cops. They're not getting me out of that room. I'm going to wait until he's done, And again, so many reasons for that. But one of them is just like, oh my God, this is so fucking weird. The life support shit. The whole scene was just so surreal, so gnarly.
So much learning.
Yeah, so gnarly. But within that, as you said, also just so much beauty and grace
profundity
and just the mystery of the whole thing, where I was just like, whoa, there's nothing trippier than sitting in a room with someone you deeply love, knowing 100% that they're about to leave, not a comfortable experience to have at all, but seeing his bearing witness to someone in that state gives you a unique access point to their nobility. There's like, it's the utmost vulnerability and also nobility at the same time. There's just like a real grace in that. And that was such a rich experience, as painful as it was. And just the memory of it still, I mean, it's just like, oh my God, it's heartbreaking, but it's also...
It's like the ultimate power in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ultimate surrender. You know what I mean? It's just my... one of my primary guiding principles is surrender, as I know it is for you too, you know? So it's just like, wow, staying in that room is an act of surrender for me, because there's zero I can do to control that situation or change the outcome or change how it feels in me, in my experience of it, you know? So it's just, wow, surrendering to the humanity of this moment, the reality of this moment, the depth of this moment, and surrendering the attachment I have to my dad in that form, surrendering my own fear of losing him and my own fear of mortality, right? It's like when your parent, well, I have one, you know, my mom thankfully is still alive, but, you know, my dad, I know there's something about, he's the, you know, the patriarch of the family, and I'm next in line as his first son. You know, there's a sense of finality and inevitability to that lands different, I think, than it would if I was a daughter or a third son or something, right? It's just like, oh shit, well, logically, if he's going, then I'm next, you know? So there's a lot of reconciliation of my own mortality. So to, you know, bring it all the way back around to that question, I would say facing death in any opportunity one has is a really healthy experience. There's
It's so sacred.
yeah, there's I think it's from one of the philosophers in ancient Greece or something. I've always wanted to figure out who actually said this or who it's attributed to, but it goes something like this: if you die before you die, when you die, you don't die. Right? So it's like, how many little deaths can I invite into my experience? And little deaths to me are just how many things that I find myself resisting, or things to which I'm attached. How many of those can I let go every day? You know, how much can I just surrender, accept, even of the small things, so that, you know, when the ultimate surrender happens, when you're like, okay, I can't hang on to this body anymore, I feel like it is a much less scary endeavor, you know? And it's one of the reasons I meant to say this earlier, you know, when you're talking about the death and birth portal just being a creative transition, or the act of creation. That's one of the reasons I don't really get sad when I see dead animals. I mean, I'm not stoked about it. We saw so much roadkill in Indiana. There's deer get hit here all the time. And it's like, I'd be sad if there's an animal that's suffering and in a lot of pain, you know, but it's like, if a deer gets clipped and they just instantly leave their body, it's just, I know that they're not dead. They're just, the life force that was animating that particular physical form can't be killed. Therefore, because you can't kill energy. I mean, you can't, like, try killing electricity. You know, it's like you can't kill it because it's not alive in a sense, you know? It just is. Its existence. So I know from my hunting trip a few years ago, you know, killing this big boar, it's just, I walked up to it and watched it die, and it was so clear that it didn't die, that it just became a less concentrated, a less uniquely identified part of consciousness. It just went, it was born in that moment, you could say, right?
The expanse of it is
it was actually more so than it died. It was born into the totality of consciousness, reabsorbed into the ether. You know?
So maybe there's something about the languaging too for this person to explore. It's like, rather than death, it's like, what words might resonate more to this person?
Another thing,
expansion.
And then we can get on to maybe one more, is something that is, again, it's a little bit of an edge for me. I don't find it totally comfortable, but I do like to read books about and listen to interviews with people who have had NDEs. I have a book over there. It's called The Big Book of Near-Death Experiences.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you to have a near-death experience expert on your show.
Oh, I was going to say, you want me to have one? I mean, you could throw me over the balcony.
Hi.
Yeah, I do. If anyone listening or watching, by the way, if you know of any people that have had those experiences and are well versed in sharing about them, but listening to and reading about people that have had those experiences a lot has really helped me too, because without exception, anyone I've ever heard that describes leaving their body describes it as a beautiful, peaceful, there's the greatest experience of their life. They've never felt a love like that, the whole thing, right? It's like they describe it, many as, taking off a pair of tight shoes. You leave your body and it's like, oh, thank God. It's like, what is that thing? So I find those to be, just really fascinating and inspiring, but also reaffirming that not only is there something after this, but there's something beautiful there waiting for us rather than something scary. And I think I'm not a religious man per se, but I have a sense that your experience when you leave the body is probably to some degree, if not a high degree, determined by the choices that you made while you were here. And that's one of the things that keeps me keeps my moral compass tuned. I'm not trying to accrue any more bad karma. I've earned a lot of karma and had to work a lot of it off. And so, when I leave my body, I'm really looking forward to having an experience that is not imbued with darkness in any way.
I'm interested in the pleasure, the just boundless, blissful pleasure, expanse that we feel as we find our passageway back home to God, anchoring that and being able to access and experience that here on earth too, heaven on earth.
Yep. We all want to feel youthful and look good as we age. That's why everyone and their mom is talking about collagen right now. Well, unfortunately, most collagen products are basically glorified protein powder that don't really deliver on their promise. That's why Carrera Marine Collagen from Peak caught my attention. Unlike the other formulas that focus on just one type of collagen, Carrera combines multiple forms for a synergistic longevity effect that you can see and feel. You've got type 1 marine collagen for skin radiance and smoothness, plus a rare type 2 for deeper joint and connective tissue support. And then they went next level and added biotin and micronized pearl powder to boost skin, hair, and nails. For the past week, I've been whipping 2 scoops into my morning brew, and it turns into a creamy longevity latte without any weird taste or annoying clumping. And I noticed it right away, too. Better skin texture, more hydration, and my joints don't complain like they used to. Now this is legit my #1 favorite protein. There's just nothing like it out there. To get loaded up, here's what you do. Go to peaklife.com/Luke to get 15% off when you subscribe. Plus, get a free gift during their launch period. That's peaklife.com/Luke. peaklife.com/Luke. And their Carrera protein's been clinically shown to support skin elasticity and joint agility after just 2 weeks of use. So you're not just enhancing your appearance, you're investing in your future self. peakt.com/Luke.
Are you sure you want to do one more?
Yeah, maybe one that's not so deep.
Well, okay, so I'll let you pick. You can talk about thoughts on skincare, or do you want to just wrap up along this vein? Let me read
I think
this.
It's more superficial than skincare.
Well, exactly.
Figuratively and literally.
So you can figure that one out, or you can answer Ma Dev's question, In the world of clinical data and longevity, we spend all of our time trying to quote unquote solve the biological vessel. But the friction this person is feeling lately is once the biology is optimized, we're still left with the same existential weight. How do you balance the relentless drive for extreme physical longevity with the spiritual necessity of surrendering to our impermanence? So it's like you could just kind of finish the vein of thought that we're on with answering that.
Yeah,
Talk about
that's good.
skincare.
Let's do that because I can answer skincare really quick. Get a healthy amount of sun. I like Alatura skincare products. I like Young Goose. I think those are the two that we have around the house at the moment. But mostly skincare is an inside job. It's keeping yourself as uninflamed as you can.
I like the Quicksilver GHKCU face serum.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the injectable peptide to get the GHKCU. They make a face serum that you just put on your face.
I mean, the thing for me is I don't know why, but I'm always very well moisturized. Like I've always used some kind of oils and cream, not like, Jergens lotion from CVS, but I'm tallow or whatever it is. I feel like my skin is always kind of lubricated with something healthy and good. And I also get a lot of sun. I mean, if I'm out in like really hot sun, I won't, I'll usually wear a hat. But I do get, a fair amount of sun. And I think for my age, I meet guys that are my age that have many more wrinkles than I do. So
yeah, you look very wonderful.
So, well, I'm not fishing for compliments, but I think I've done okay with the skin thing. And it's not something I've ever really tried to work on, but I make sure that I'm always like
supple,
nourishing my skin.
You're supple and moist.
I'm always nourishing it, and I'm getting a lot of good sun.
The one tidbit I would put in there is I'm not sure what about the skincare this person, because they were also unknown. Because I thankfully have never had to sort out or crack a code around acne. So it's like I don't know if this person wants skincare tips due to a skin issue like that, or if it's something more like, just being able to keep things firm as you age and lifted. But yeah, the more I'm learning about that side of things is, doing things to really tend to the ligaments and tendons and the structure underneath your skin and your face is what's really vitally important as you age. Because it's like the reason the face starts to droop and get saggy, it's not necessarily the skin or only the skin, it's the structure underneath that's not holding it up. The ligaments start to atrophy. So I guess it would be like the
get a $5,000 laser.
Well, the laser or the collagen
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, yeah, the
stuff that keeps your tendons in structural integrity.
Totally, yeah, the collagen, vitamin C, and silica, that's it. But something that just came to mind that's like the most obvious is sleep, man. Like sleep especially as you get older. I mean, dude, sleep is so important to me. And I think that is going to have a lot to do with the longevity of your skin, because that's when all the repair is happening. And also another thing that really trashes your skin is the oxidation that comes from eating a lot of omega-6 and oxidized rancid seed oils. Seed oils are terrible for your skin and cause lipofuscin, these age spots. And the other thing is blue light, being around a lot of artificial blue light, which also includes being indoors behind windows, because windows filter the balance of UVA and UVB. And so that's why people, truck drivers that like get the spots all over their left arm from driving with the window right there. That happens because the light is adulterated through glass. And so sun through glass is really not good for your skin. Okay, that's the skin one. And then the last one.
Yeah, let's wrap it up on this. It's just the balancing of the relentless drive for physical longevity, but also the surrender into we're impermanent.
Yeah, totally. So for me, I've never been after longevity. I know there's like a whole biohacking scene around like living a long time.
Yeah, people pick like a certain age that they have a goal to live to.
Yeah, it's good for them. That's just not something that's ever been appealing to me. Personally, I believe that the moment you leave your body is already set. Kind of like when you are watching a DVD or a videotape of a movie. You don't know how it's going to end unless you've, seen it before, read the script, but at 120 minutes, it's over, And so I just think whenever God is planning for me to leave, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. So that solves that. However, being physically vital and healthy is really important to me because I hate pain and I just don't like to suffer. So I was just sitting here talking. I just had this massive flare of tinnitus on this side. I just went like, beep. Do I want to live to 120 of that? No, I'm good. It's like whenever I'm supposed to go, I'm down. To me, the effort that I put into being physically healthy and all the products I take and all the things I'm experimenting with, I just want to feel as good as I possibly can while I'm here so I can do what I'm here to do.
So it's less about longevity and it's more about
quality
thriving.
of life, quality of life, not quantity of life for me personally. So I'm not hung up on that. But I do want to feel really good and I want to have energy. I mean, thankfully I have a lot of energy. So that's not a problem for me, but I do have, a sore back and tinnitus and I have my like aging issues, right? Eyes are a little funky, need glasses sometimes, etc. But I truly believe, and I say this all the time, people don't believe me because I promote all these products and do all this stuff. So much of our physical health is driven by our emotional health and our spiritual relationship to existence, And so even I was working with Brandy, Jared, what's Brandy's last name? Brandy Gilmore. And I was working with her because she was able to help people heal themselves of all kinds of things. And so we were working on the tinnitus things. And I was like, wow, there's one thing I haven't tried. And a couple calls with her, she identified like how much I'm living in fear and resentment of the government, And she's like, why do you
have like, anger toward the
government? Like, why do you want to walk around with those feelings? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even see that. Right. So it's like, that is not having a positive impact on my body. It's like the biology of belief, the epigenetics, It's like, what kind of thoughts am I having? What kind of feelings am I giving energy to? I think a lot of our physical problems, including longevity or quality of life or quantity of life, whatever you're going for, so much of that is really determined by our mental state and the degree to which we are willing or able to process past traumas and hurts and get our mind and emotions right. It's like all these supplements and biohacking and shit. Dude, trust me, I've tried. You cannot biohack your way out of, a bad attitude or an existential feeling of doom, right? It's like, it's really an inside job. So if I was someone that wanted to live until I was 150 or whatever, I think the supplements and all those things are much less meaningful than the energy that I'm living with in terms of how I think and how I speak and the kind of people I'm around, my environment, my relationships, connections. I really believe the spiritual and emotional and mental aspects of ourselves trump biology because those are the things that actually
go with you,
pull the levers of our biology. And that's why you have people, I believe at least, you have people that live till they're 100 and drink whiskey and smoked a pack a day. It's like their mind's right, Maybe there's some genetics in there too, but it's like they're people that have a positive attitude. These old timers in Sardinia, Italy or whatever, they're walking up and down little hills in their village all day and probably eating a pretty healthy diet, but they're smoking and drinking espresso and
the thing that
drinking wine and living their best life because they're happy and they're connected with other people.
Well, and the equanimity part too. I think that, for the last like 4 years, that was a message and instruction and assignment that God very clearly brought into my field and my life. And so I've just steadily been attuning to that and studying that and embodying that more and more. And that's been such a game changer, just the equanimity piece.
Yeah.
not getting so butthurt and uptight about things, more levity and
Yeah.
more carefreeness. And to say carefree, it's like not that you don't care about yourself and others in life. It's just that you don't get so like constricted with your energy and uptight and bogged down and have things feel as heavy or burdensome anymore. There's just like a different way you start to find when equanimity becomes a big intention. One last thing that I want to wrap with that just kind of entered the field. It was around the creation portal and my pondering of when we're more in the soul spirit form and know that that it's our time to incarnate, and just the inverse of what we feel as humans when we know we've got to exit out.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's equally as scary as being a human and leaving your body and going into those realms. I never thought about it though.
Well,
but you got to be shitting your pants from the other side going, oh my God, I'm going to Earth. Like Earth is so ghetto.
Well, okay. So that's my point though, is actually in the source field, if fear doesn't exist there.
Oh, right.
But stick with me though. Let me talk. If fear doesn't exist in the source field and we're in soul spirit form, knowing that it's our time to remember how to kerplunk down into the fetus and the belly, and we know we've got to make the passageway down the birth canal. What if the fear of that part of the process of incarnating doesn't exist, because fear doesn't exist in the source field? We just need to, while we're in human form, remember and attune to that essence that we fully have and are fully equipped with, because our soul has that and knows that, to do the inverse, to do the incarnation.
Wow.
So while we're here in human form, maybe I'll record a guided meditation. Maybe I'll do a shamanic journey. Maybe I'll do some sort of gathering. Maybe I'll do some sort of practice where people can start to attune to and get reacquainted with that essence and that fearless form of knowing how to do these two biggest points of creation, the incarnation to earth and the passageway back home to God. You don't have the fear attached to get the incarnation. So we know we have that encoded, that we have that. So while we're in human form, we just need to reattune to the remembrance of what that feels like to have our exit be the same thing.
If I could drop this mic, I would.
If I could throw this mic.
Dude, I've never thought about it that way. That's so beautiful. And going back to the NDE community, if there is such a thing.
I'm sure there is.
All of them report the minute you leave your body, you can't even imagine what fear is like.
Yeah.
It's like beyond you have no relationship to fear.
It's just like an earth construct.
Mm-hmm. You're in a goddamn body, and the body's designed to stay alive, so it has to be afraid of shit all the time.
So we've got this big passageway to make as a soul spirit into human form. We're able to do that with no fear.
Yeah.
It's just this innate intelligence. We're probably just like in full trust and wisdom and joy to do the incarnation. So we have that.
Yeah.
Our soul is in our meat suit. So we have that same intelligence and wisdom within us right now. We just have to get reacquainted and reconnected with that essence to have the passageway back to God feel of that same fearless, wisdom-filled state.
Oh my God. You just cracked the code on the human.
Hey, it came into the field. I don't know that I can take credit for it. As you were sharing that last answer, it literally entered the field to me to say that.
That's deep. Yeah, that's deep. I mean, that might be the PhD dissertation, the final exam, right? It's like, can you be in a body and embrace the earthly experience with that degree of fearlessness, the degree of fearlessness with which you exist outside of space and time beyond a body.
That's the ultimate of ultimate full circle moments.
Yeah. Maybe that's what enlightenment is in a sense, right? When you read, or if you're lucky enough to be in the same room with someone who's truly enlightened, I get that sense that they're outside of the kind of fear that the rest of us, kind of have to manage throughout our life.
Yeah, because we've spoken of, some of the other, what would be classified, or they classify themselves as enlightened or masters. They're smiling all the time, laughing all the time. They are.
And everything is funny.
Yeah.
Tragedy.
Everything.
It's like,
Yeah.
your uncle died. Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Like,
good for him. Yeah.
It's funny too, right? It's like to the uninitiated, it would seem like madness, right? That person's just like crazy. An enlightened person amongst a civilization that is largely insane is going to appear to be the one who's insane when they're actually the one who's sane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Perfect note to end on.
That's cool. Okay. God bless. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. Those of you that made it to the end. Oh, God damn it! I forgot one of my other things. I'll talk about it deeper next time. But there's a lot of hype around peptides right now. I started using peptides, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, 9 years ago. You had to order them on the dark web. It was a little shady. You had to really do your due diligence. Well, now some of the regulations are loosening up, which is great. But that also means there's a bunch of people trying to make money. And this is shit you're injecting into your body. And they're pharmaceuticals, for all the anti-pharmaceutical people out there. Guess what? Peptides are pharmaceuticals. So I'm always working really hard to vet these different companies, so that whether I'm going to use them, especially if you're going to use them, I'm willing to kind of take one for the team and experiment a bit, but I wouldn't want you to do that. So recently found this company called Solyn, Solyn. And of the companies that I've researched, these guys have just like psychotic level third-party verification, and they have very strict manufacturing processes and the ability to validate that manufacturing process. And so I'm really excited to have found a very clean, verifiable peptide. So that was that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention that earlier because it's not, it's a tiny vial and you got to keep it in the refrigerator. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in today. Again, the show notes will be clickable in the show description on your podcast apps, or you can go to lukestory.com/674 for complete transcripts, show notes, links to everything we talked about. There's discount codes for any of the products that I support and all that. So we'll see you next time.
Ta-ta for now.
And that, my friends, is what we call a wrap. Thanks for hanging out on this week's episode of The Life Stylist. But before I sign off, I want to remind you about one of the best ways to support the show while also upgrading your life, my online master market. That's where I've curated a collection of my favorite lifestyle design products, world-class supplements, EMF protection gear, water purification, blue light solutions, biohacking tech, and tons more. And these aren't just random health products. I mean, you can find that on Amazon. I've tested and vetted every item on the site. So if you see it there, it's something I personally use and trust. So if you've ever wondered what brands I actually use day to day, or where you can find the gear I'm always talking about, the Master Market is your one-stop resource. To check it out, head over to lukestory.com/store. You can browse around, pick up some upgrades, and know that every purchase helps this show keep trucking. And the best part is that nearly everything listed there comes with an exclusive discount just for Life Stylist listeners. So you get cutting-edge tools to optimize your mind, body, and spirit and save some dough in the process. Again, that link is lukestory.com/store. Get in there and dig around and stock up on the best of the best. And you can click that link right in this episode description. Oh, and don't miss the search bar while you're there. That's how you can quickly find exactly what you're looking for without getting lost. All right, that's it. Until next time, be well and share this episode with someone you love. Hell, share it with someone you're struggling to love, because everyone deserves it.